Particularly at the moment I'm working on what I've called bloom of flowers. So it's going to be a bouquet of flowers that in themselves are lanterns. And at the moment I'm working on one of the daffodils. So my research has led me to manipulating some of the willow in different ways. By soaking it for several hours or even days, it makes it a lot more malleable. But essentially it's always just constructing different shapes and a skeleton that then you wrap with paper. And during this week I've also been experimenting with using different types of paper, and this paper particularly comes from a company where they make lanterns. So it's quite resistant to the glue and water paste that I've been using to stick them. I'm working on each section individually, so that includes each leaf, each petal, each stem, and dissecting the shapes, making them into this framework. And then eventually they'll be pieced together and covered with the paper. Over the next couple of weeks, I'm just going to be accumulating different sections of either these flower structures or, I guess, different size of the petals, the leaves, and essentially forming this bouquet. I think once all the wire structures are done, I'm going to then start covering them with paper, but I think I'll only do that on a second stage. One of the things that I need to start experimenting now is what kind of light source to use, and also how am I going to get colour into these lanterns. So whether that means using colourful tissue paper or perhaps finding the best way to paint them and what kind of paints to use. That's the next step in terms of experimenting with this idea. I've completed a few more of the paintings inspired by my trip to Japan. I've wanted to experiment a bit with some of them, so not only painting landscapes but also perhaps painting themes or certain depictions that I saw in Japanese artwork as well. The one I'm working on at the moment is inspired by some of the kimono patterns that I saw while I was there. Obviously the maple leaves changing colour and being quite colourful in general are also part of the changing of the season and the celebration of autumn. But then we also saw and heard a lot of these kite birds while we were there, and so I wanted to have that as part of the theme as well. I've also maybe changed a bit of the techniques that I used with the other paintings. So here I've used a lot more oil pastels to give the painting more texture and scratched beneath it, so some of that colour comes peering out. And I have changed the colour palette quite a few times with this painting. While it is sort of iconography that resembles a lot of Japanese themes, it's also something that relates back to my experience in Kyoto.